And welcome back, everybody. What you're seeing is some activity outside of the Hennepin County Courthouse, where we're planning to hear opening statements today in the Derek Chauvin trial. Members of George Floyd's family, their legal team, Reverend Al Sharpton, spoke for about an hour today, saying what they are hoping for, what they're hoping for justice will look like in this trial. Right now, they are taking a knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, which is symbolic of the amount of time that Derek Chauvin placed his knee on the back of George Floyd's neck. There were some really interesting moments there, including when a family member of George Floyd had said, he keeps saying, why do I keep watching the video? Why do I put myself through that? Why do I watch the video of George Floyd being put on the ground for that long? And he says it's because it's the only time I can hear his last words. It's just a way to hear his voice. And that was a really emotional moment there. And it should be noted, as we talk about the opening statements, with the 8 minutes and 46 seconds, you know that the prosecutor in this case, Jerry Blackwell, one of the prosecutors who's going to be delivering the opening statements, you have to imagine that is language that he will use. Okay, so let's get some perspective here. I want to bring in my very special guests who are joining me today: criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Nicole DeBoard, and criminal defense attorney Tiffany Simmons. Thank you so much for coming on. Tiffany, let me start with you. What did you make of the statements outside of the Hennepin County Courthouse today?
Well, the statements that were made outside today in the press conference, they were powerful, to say the least. But one of the things that was running through my mind during the time that Attorney Crump was speaking was, how is this narrative going to hurt or help the criminal case that is going to start today? So that is something that I was thinking about as he spoke of George Floyd, as he spoke of Derek Chauvin as the person who murdered George Floyd. So those are some of the things that I thought about. I thought about the family that has to endure the criminal trial, in addition to what they have experienced on the civil side with the attorneys at the press conference this morning. I also thought about the fact of, just getting whole justice, as Attorney Crump mentioned, which is the civil justice as well as the criminal justice under the 7th and 10th Amendment. So today's press conference was very powerful. It was a lot to digest for the general public, and I am concerned about the fine line of what narrative is created through their press conference and the civil case and what has happened with the settlement, as well as the narrative of the prosecution and the defense in the criminal case.
Tiffany, there was a point when I believe one of the members of George Floyd's family said, are we just supposed to believe that George Floyd was going to die that day if the officers never got involved? Because that's almost assuming what the defense will be arguing, that the health problems, the drugs in his system, that he overdosed, he was going to die anyway. It had no result. The officers' actions that day did not cause or contribute the cause of the death of George Floyd. I mean, isn't that what we're probably going to be hearing from the defense today, Tiffany?
Well, it sounds like that is a narrative that the defense may use, that George Floyd died due to, drug use or drug overdose, which again it's a reach. It's using the facts that they are given by the defense. However, but for the fact of the interaction with Derek Chauvin, we could say that George Floyd would probably be here. There's only speculation that he would have died that day due to a fentanyl or drug overdose. That's speculation, but we do know that we all saw a video of Derek Chauvin having his foot on, or his knee on, George Floyd's neck for more than 8 minutes. We all saw that. So, the narrative of he would have died from a drug overdose, that narrative, I don't know how far that will go, especially when similar circumstances, when George Floyd was pulled over before and he supposedly behaved in this manner before, but he lived in that police encounter and he died in this one. That's
something we've talked a lot about here on this program, how keen the defense was to introduce that 2019 arrest video and how similar they say it is, but he lived in 2019, he didn't live in 2020.